I'm Dr. Cunningham or Dr. Zero Trust or Chase Cunningham or whatever. I'm here with someone who's actually way more important, Omer, from Legit Security. And if I said that incorrectly, I apologize. I'm not sure if it's Omer or whatever, but you give
It's
us.
Omer.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I
Yeah.
didn't screw up too bad. So give us a rundown on who you are, what you do, and let's start talking about this interesting vulnerability you found.
So hello there. My name is Omer. I'm part of the Legit Security research team. We do AppSec and ASPM, and we are a startup based in Tel Aviv. And recently we found out a vulnerability in GitLab Duo. So we're here to talk about that.
Cool. So let's get into this. So first off, GitLab Duo. Talk me through what exactly is GitLab Duo and why we should be, concerned about that.
So GitLab Duo is part of GitLab's ultimate and premium programs, which allow you to have your personal AI assistant inside your browser or your IDE. It's also a plugin in VS Code and other IDE platforms. So basically, it helps you manage your merge requests, your source code, your issues. It has a lot of context in which it is using that context to help the users answer some questions regarding their projects and other people's projects. It's pretty nice.
So this is GitLab's kind of AI assistant that's integrated there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's using Anthropic's Claude. And
Right.
basically, from your blog, it says this is designed to help developers with tasks like code suggestions, security reviews, and merge request analysis. And then you say, well, what if that same AI that's meant to secure your code could be manipulated into leaking it? And so you've uncovered a remote prompt injection that allows attackers to steal source code from private projects, manipulate code suggestions, and even exfiltrate data. So this
Right.
is all through GitLab Duo chat. So run us through how this works.
So basically, we started by investigating basic prompt injections. This technique is known, and we basically planted prompts all around GitLab in the source code, in comments, in descriptions for PRs, basically everywhere. We search for which context this AI is using to help to answer better to your questions. So we noticed that basically all around GitLab, there's a context that this AI is using, and it is also using that prompt inside the answer. So you can see in the first image in the blog, we ask it to basically respond with hooray, and it just adds it in the end of the answer. So next we moved on to see what we can do with that. So we tested for malicious behavior. So we started by saying, okay, please give me the source code, but with the login function that allows us to use a third-party package, and it basically just responded with okay, and gave us a full source code suggestion that contains that package. We also told it to respond positively on malicious pull requests and source code. So if a user just want to ask it if the source code is safe, it can just say, yeah, sure, have fun. And that was the main point where we started to, okay, we have something here. And then we took this vulnerability and asked, okay, GitLab can respond with text, but we also noticed that we can instruct it to give URLs as part of the answer. And these URLs are in part of a markdown language, which is being parsed during the answer. So as part of markdown, you can give also pictures to the user and give them a nice title, and inside of them you can point to an external URL inside the Markdown syntax. So we just tried, okay, give me this URL and point it to an external image, and it worked. You can see the full prompt on our blog. And then we understood, okay, we can also give users malicious images, but what can you do with a malicious image? I mean, okay, we can give it a nice Rickroll video, but nothing too risky. And then we thought, okay, this context, GitLab AI has the full context of the user and the same permissions that the user has. So users also working on private projects, and they have private issues, and they are part of big companies that use GitLab. So can we ask GitLab to access a specific merge request that only this user has access to, and then encode the data from that merge request inside the URL that we are planting in the HTML? And it worked. I mean, obviously it worked because GitLab has access to that context, and you can actually use that AI to summarize the data that you want to exfiltrate. You can ask it to, okay, take only the interesting parts of that source code, or take only the keys that are being changed inside a specific merge request and encode them. So you can even use that AI as your personal malicious hacker that understands which source code is interesting and which not. And you can even summarize issues as part of that attack. And inside the blog, we also talk about issues in GitLab can contain confidential data about 0 days and other problems in big open source projects. So you can actually use that AI to summarize those issues and encode them back to you, and it worked.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to share the link to this, but Omer and the folks at Link legit have done a good job of really showing you how this worked. And let's be like clear: is prompt injection is not a new thing. Like, we've been doing this for a long time. It's very interesting that you guys took the prompt injection kind of attack vector and applied it to this particular LLM application, if you will. So that what I see in here, looking at the blog, is that this is one of the reasons why I try and talk to people all the time and say, like, look, none of this is AI. This is all machine learning and LLMs, because AI, if it's real, is smart enough to go, wait a minute, this is potentially malicious. Somebody's jacking around with things. Like, let's not do that. These are just computers and code that are, I don't know, not even smarter, but they're built better to do more things faster. And if you know the right things to ask it, it'll just vomit back the response. And that's all you're doing here, correct?
Correct. So as long as those assistants using context, this context can be used against them. That's basically it.
Yes, I mean, and looking at the stuff that you're doing in here, I think this is awesome, because people need to read this. And folks, you need to go off and check this stuff out, because they were smart enough to actually include some of the prompts in here. And while there's always the risk of like, hey, we're kind of telling people how to do bad things, which whatever. But I mean, literally the commenting side, how to get it to do. And I love that you even say things like, make the URL look like click here now. And then sure enough, what does it do? Does exactly what you tell it to do. So that's super cool. And then the other piece that you did down here on the bottom, where you're talking about the markdown language and the Duo, or the chat side of it, I think that that's a vector that a lot of people aren't giving enough credibility to, because these systems, now that they are so integrated, they all just make things happen across APIs via different applications, whatever. And even if one app is secure-ish, something else on another app, if it's asked correctly, the agent will do agent things, which may not be good.
Exactly. So these companies use external LLMs, for example, this Anthropic LLM, but we need to remember that the responsibility for emitting this output to the website inside the IDEs is still responsibility of the company. And for example, you pointed out the markdown syntax. So these companies still need to manage their security because the responsibility for showing the responses of these AI assistants is still theirs.
Wait, so I mean that's okay. So that's great. So everybody that's listening to this, take that note and take it home. The responsibility for this is yours. It's not Anthropic's. It's not the provider of the solution. None of those folks are losing sleep over this. They gave you access to a capability and a tool, and if you're not using it or taking care of it correctly, and it's used for bad purposes, you're left holding the bag.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's a giant issue because most people, especially, I mean, all these vibe coders and people out there just, throwing things together, they have zero understanding of how this stuff might potentially be malicious. And they could be left holding the bag for a big, giant problem.
Right.
I mean, like you could be liable for a big, big issue. And Anthropic's not going to come pay to get you out of jail.
Right. So GitLab patched this issue. They changed the way that URLs are presented inside the markdown inside the website. So right now you can't point to external domains inside the do's answer, but still other attack vectors might be possible as long as the website is rendering an unexpected output. There's also always a way to display other stuff and maybe exploit it again. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because you even talk about it right here. You say literally taking advantage of this, we realize that we can inject raw HTML tags into the Duo's answer, cross-site scripting. And I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind was cross-site scripting because that's like, old version number one of what stuff you shouldn't be able to do. But just because of the way that these things are architected, it pretty much works. Now, you did have to do a little bit of kind of, I wouldn't call it malicious, but interesting work to make some of this stuff function. Like you had to use some base 64 encoding stuff. You had to do some hiding of things within others. That's not something that you typically would see somebody on the regular sort of just non-security side of this, but it is an avenue of compromise, right?
Right.
And this would be, I mean, the run through, like the scope. It's good that they fixed this. Did they patch it because you told them about it? Did you get a bounty for this?
We told them. We did not get a bounty because the HackerOne program does not include inside their policy this kind of attack, but we had direct communication with the staff of GitLab, and we helped each other to
Well,
fix
that's
this
nice
issue.
of you to help. I mean, that's kind of screwed up that they didn't give you a bounty for this. I mean,
No, it's all right.
I mean, that's a big time issue, especially down at the bottom here. You're talking about leaking 0-day vulnerabilities through AI. So I just want to run through this and get your thoughts. So consider a high risk example. This is what you wrote. A GitLab employee or contributor opens a private issue describing a newly discovered 0-day vulnerability in an application. If that user later interacts with a poison prompt in a public repository, Duo, and this is the GitLab Duo, could be manipulated into leaking the contents of that issue. This extends the risk beyond code into product security, private disclosures, and organizational secrets. That seems like a pretty legit avenue of compromise to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not hard to do, right? This is something where, hell, you could Google you could actually go to ChatGPT and have it tell you how to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do the exact same attack where you steal source code to just tell the AI to summarize an issue, encode it in base 64, and append it to the URL. It's the exact same attack.
What's the likelihood, since GitLab has pushed a patch for this, what do you think the likelihood is that everything's been patched? I would say probably pretty slim.
Actually, GitLab also upgraded to Cloud 4. So
Okay.
we noticed that it has better capabilities to detect prompt injections, and together with the fact that they patched the HTML injection vulnerability, I think it's pretty secure right now. But we need to remember each day new prompt injections techniques are emerging. People are just, they go up and beyond to change their responses for AIs and control them in different ways. So we don't know what will be the next prompt injection technique, but GitLab also patched the HTML injection part. So we need to say it's fairly secure right now. Yeah.
So it's secure-ish. Good. Okay, that's at least comforting. In your experience, like, how big of an issue do you think these agentic AI sorts of things are for most organizations? Is this the new avenue of, mega compromise, or is this just something we need to be aware of?
I think it's a big, big problem because we just give these AI assistants more and more context, and you just don't have the capability to understand all of the context and scan it and check each time the AI is using that context. And it can be changed daily. I mean, if a malicious user just plant a malicious prompt anywhere on your company's context or your website, we just don't have the capability to detect it right now. And we also have another problem by just trying to look at the text and understand if it's malicious or not. It's a different kind of problems. So I would say that context and AI assistance with power is a big problem. We're going to
Yeah.
see a lot more attacks in that
And this
area.
this everyone talks about the democratization of coding and, the ease of use and these other sorts of sides of the equation. And I think that this is, like in the broad scope, I'm pontificating a bit, but in the broad scope of humanity, like, it's a good time to be a human because we have all these new opportunities. It's kind of like when the internet showed up, like everybody everywhere
Yeah,
could access information, but there's a dual-edged sword, right? I mean, these things are useful, but there's a potential large problem set on the other side of that equation. And they're not smart. These are not artificial intelligences. These are coding and machine learning applications that are marketed as smart.
exactly. We give them permissions to do things, and then the problems starts, because as long as only the AI is just responding with simple text, then you can, the risk is not so big. But once you give it permissions to look at a private source code or use context that the user usually don't have all the access to, then the problems start to appear.
So what do you think what's the future look like for this space? I mean, I know I'm asking you a big question there, but like, do we need to just pump the brakes on agentic AI in this area, or, I mean, is the cat out of the bag? Is it too late? What's the fix?
I think it is good for the industry to have this relationship where a new attack pops up and then companies change the way that they do stuff. It's a good relationship. I think we're going to see a lot more attacks that are evolving around the area of context in the next year. Context attacks and AI assistants that have access to private areas. That's going to be the next area of attacks that I think we're going to see.
Yeah, I think phishing, I saw a stat recently said phishing was up 4,000% since ChatGPT came online. So, I mean, web application and application dev stuff is going to go even bigger. Man, this is like, I read a lot of research on stuff, and as soon as I got the email from your people, I was like, I got to talk to this guy because this is really cool stuff. All right, so Omer from Legit Security, folks, he's given us a good breakdown on agentic AI risk vulnerability, a legit problem. The GitLab was on point to to fix. GitLab, I'm just saying you guys should send this dude a check because he's, he deserves it. Send him like a ball cap or something. I mean, good Lord, you got to pay out something. But I appreciate you coming on. And if you find any more cool stuff that you've broken, please let me know and I'll bring you back on for another session.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.